So I haven't got a prescription. I mean, I know what we have to do. Some of it's easy if we could do it in terms of raising the minimum wage or getting that safety net recreated at the very bottom. Some of it's very hard in terms of fixing our schools so they educate every child, although we know that we have to do that. And I'm less certain about how we will do the politics of it. But I think our democracy, this is just one example of our democracy being in great danger. That we really can't survive as a country with this kind of differentiation, disparity, gap between the top and the bottom. And just to have so much power at the top from big corporations and wealthy individuals really makes us a very different country. We can't have these disparities and remain the democracy that we aspire to be. This really does have to change. So I'll just close with the way I always do, and I think to this group probably not necessary, but Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel was a great man who was Dr. King's friend and marched in Selma and elsewhere with Dr. King, and he said and wrote many, many, many things, but one thing he said is, we're not all guilty, but we are all responsible. So thanks for the chance to share these thoughts.
Thank you, Peter. Talk to us for a moment about the Tea Party and the fact that the Tea Party appeared to be made up of mostly white people, over 50 or 60. And what you're talking about is that there needs to be some kind of movement among young people in this country.
Okay. Well, I will say this, that I'm afraid people like us, to some extent, and including our president, whom I support obviously fully, helped create the Tea Party. There was a lot of anger out there, justified anger at Wall Street going into after the 2008 election, and for my taste anyway, we didn't hear enough. There wasn't a strong statement from the White House about accountability there. We still haven't seen any prosecutions. So that's one thing. And I think that too many people, after President Obama was elected, said, well, we did that. He's in there now. He'll do it for us. We got other stuff to do. And it feels to me like that was a kind of a national mistake, and also kind of helped to pave the way for the Tea Party. The Tea Party has a lot of people in it. I mean, I'm not sure there is a Tea Party anymore, as much as it's become a terminology that is in fact the modus operandi of the entire Republican Party, which was very convenient for them to pick up and use. But the sort of genuine Tea Party, if that makes any sense, or at least some of them, were expressing a lack of trust in government that people across the board, especially younger people, have. And so when I talk about young people, sort of implicitly I'm saying spontaneously coming forward, some of it is a need for new leadership, is a need for people who will just speak honestly about what we need to do and essentially be able to rebuild a trust in people who run for and hold office. It's just terrible to say, but I think it's not so shocking that people say, I don't trust any of these people, so I'm not going to vote at all, or to the extent that I do vote, I don't think I'm getting anything out of it, and so why vote for spending more money? Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
The people at the top.
Yes.
So the question, just for the recording, I'm just going to say the last part, isn't there some way that we could reach people at the very top to be more committed to their community? And you mean nationally as well as locally. I think it's difficult, but it's in the self-interest of people of means to include everybody, wholly apart from the moral question, because if people have more income, they buy more products and services. We're losing, there's research that, in fact, I helped commission. I was a co-chair of a task force on poverty for the Center for American Progress that estimates, but with pretty good backing, that we're losing $500 to $700 billion a year from poverty and low income, whether it's lost productivity, whether it's increased health problems, whether it's the cost of incarceration and all of that. So there's a self-interest that needs to be said and stated. I don't completely understand why people don't see that. There's a lot of concern about how things are quarter to quarter instead of the long run. Maybe that's some of it.
That they're taking the kids that are now in a program called Homebound Neighborhood. They're going to be put into the Medicaid program, and if the states refuse this, they won't get the money. But all these people are going to end up, all these children are going to end up with no medical care.
I don't know the details. There are a couple of ways that there can be, you can be covered by Medicaid and not have a provider who will take you, whether it's a child or an adult. It can be something that gets covered under Medicaid where the reimbursement levels are so low that it really makes it difficult to operate. Basically, what's going to happen here is that people who have no coverage at all are going to get coverage. There isn't, I don't know, again, what you're precisely referring to. No state has to participate in Medicaid legally. And Arizona, in fact, didn't participate in Medicaid until the mid-1980s, and the program was enacted in 1965. So insofar as the comment, whoever made that comment was talking about something under the spending power, I don't want to get down into the weeds here, but it doesn't, to me, it doesn't hold water. And insofar as a particular program is in some jeopardy, I just don't know the details. So I don't know if that's helpful. If not, I apologize.
It's Medicaid. And if you have states, like, some
Well, there's always the question, certain kinds of things in Medicaid are required by the federal law. The state has to have them. Certain kinds of things are optional for the states. That's always been true. And so when times are tough, they're likely to cut out, and it's happened before, they're likely to cut out some of the optional services. But what happened this morning in upholding the addition of 16 million plus 18 to 64-year-olds, it's just amazing. The question is, do poor people feel any incentive to participate in the voting? I think the answer is yes, if they see something that responds to them. When Robert Kennedy ran, a different period of time, of course, but people said the same things about Black and Latino participation, and they came out in the California primary, they came out in huge turnouts. Similarly with President Obama in 2008.
If a leader speaks to them.
Yes. There are a lot of things that we have done, can do. These state voter suppression laws have to be opposed, and attacked in court to the extent that they're unconstitutional. Various kinds of nonprofits can certainly put money into voting registration drives and so on. But my experience and my view is that the biggest single thing to get people to participate is to have them think that there's a reason to do so. Well, it's certainly part of whether our side is holding up its responsibility. The question was what we hear from one side of the line about what's wrong with poor people is that they don't want to work, or they won't make an effort, or they love getting public benefits, or whatever the combination is. In the last half of the 1990s, when was the last time the economy was really hot. It was the only time between the 70s and now where people at the bottom had increases in their real incomes from work. That 7% that I talked about before, it would be zero except for the last half of the 1990s. You put jobs out there, it happens all the time. Somebody's going to hire 500 people and there will be a line, 5,000 people. So the evidence is clear enough. But people persist. There are politicians standing up on the floor of the House of Representatives now talking about all these people who just want to have babies in order to go on welfare. Hello, what welfare is that?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Peter speaks truth. We have a responsibility to speak truth to power. One of the things that I often note, particularly in the presence of younger people, the future is not about me, it is about you. You have to claim your future. And Peter was a very, very important part of Robert Kennedy's staff. I was infinitely less important. But one of the things that we both observed about the senator was he challenged you. We haven't had anyone in the national political dialogue since to challenge us. And I've had that conversation with Alan Simpson, the great man of Wyoming, conservative Republican who agrees. And so I think the word is there are things that can be done. We can achieve great things. In the September of 1941, when England stood alone against the evils of Hitler and Nazism, he went to Harrow to speak to the students, and he gave a famous speech in which he said, "Never give in. Never, 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 never give in." And we, as a people, as a country, in the context of our history, we will never give in. Thank you all. See you for Superman, July 12th. Thank you.